Trump's chaotic messaging and the joint U.S.-Israeli agenda. Donald Trump's recent Truth Social posts reveal a dramatic shift in U.S. foreign policy toward Iran, signaling potential direct involvement in Israel's ongoing conflict. Initially, the administration claimed Israel acted unilaterally during its June 13 attack on Iran. However, Trump's contradictory statements, first taking credit for orchestrating the strike, then denying U.S. involvement, exposed the fragility of this narrative. A pivotal post declared, "We now have complete control of Iran's skies," explicitly implicating the U.S. in a joint operation. This erratic communication reflects deeper division within Trump's National Security Councils, where advisors clash over escalating the war versus de-escalation. Analysts argue that Trump's inability to maintain a coherent strategy undermines U.S. credibility and risks plunging the region into chaos. The unconditional surrender ultimatum and its dangers. Trump's demand for Iran's unconditional surrender has drawn sharp criticism for its vagueness and potential consequences. While the terms likely refers to halting Iran's nuclear enrichment and ballistic missile programs, experts warn that such a demand could galvanize Iranian resistance. Historical parallels to World War II Germany highlight how ultimatums often prolong conflicts rather than resolve them. Iran's leadership, including Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei, has rejected U.S. demands, vowing to defend sovereignty. The threat to assassinate Khamenei, a move Trump framed as a mob boss, warning further inflames tensions, making diplomacy nearly impossible. Behind closed doors, the NSC meeting and military escalation. The National Security Council's emergency meeting revealed stark divisions. Hawks like Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio pushed for full U.S. support for Israel, while skeptics cautioned against repeating the forever wars of the past. Meanwhile, U.S. military assets, including 2 aircraft carriers, the Carl Vinson and Nimitz, are mobilizing in the Persian Gulf. Reports suggest a secret 24-hour ultimatum was delivered to Iran via UK intermediaries, threatening joint U.S.-Israeli strikes if nuclear concessions aren't met. These moves signal an irreversible drift toward war, with Vance and Special Envoy Steve Witkoff attempting and failing to revive negotiations with Iran. The military gamble. Can the U.S. succeed where Israel failed? Israel's initial strike on Iran fell short of expectations, failing to cripple nuclear facilities or destabilize the regime. Now the U.S. faces a high-risk gamble, deploying B-2 stealth bombers armed with massive ordnance penetrator (MOP) bombs to destroy Iran's deeply buried Fordow enrichment site. However, reports from the Financial Times question the mob's effectiveness, citing the facility's reinforced concrete and depths. Even if the U.S. succeeds, Iranian retaliation could target American bases across the Middle East. With U.S. air defense already strained by Ukraine, the Pentagon fears prolonged conflict could stretch resources thin, a scenario Iran seems eager to exploit. Political fallout. Trump's approval ratings and domestic backlash. Domestically, Trump's Iran policy is deeply unpopular. A recent poll shows 60% of Americans oppose U.S. involvement in an attack, with only 16% in favor. Conservative outlets like The Federalist have criticized the administration for recycling discredited neocon talking points, reminiscent of Iraq. Trump's base, already wary of endless wars, is increasingly alienated by his erratic decisions. If the conflict drags on, parallels to Lyndon Johnson's Vietnam-era downfall loom large, threatening Trump's re-election prospect and congressional support. The G7 summit fiasco, where Trump snubbed European leaders and Ukrainian President Zelensky, further erode U.S. global standing, emboldening rivals like Russia and China. The broader geopolitical consequence: Russia, China, and the BRICS factor. Iran's defiance has strengthened ties with Russia and China, both of which oppose Western intervention. Russia and China are coordinating responses at the UN Security Council, while overland rails links between China and Iran's recently expanded via Pakistan underscore Tehran's strategic value. Though not critical to BRICS, Iran's survival is vital to countering U.S. hegemony. Analysts predict Moscow and Beijing will ramp up support if Iran withstands initial strikes, potentially altering the balance of power in Eurasia. Meanwhile, the Strait of Hormuz remains a flashpoint, with Pentagon warning that Iran could mine the waterway, disrupting global oil supplies. The unavoidable war: what comes next? Despite diplomatic overtures, a U.S.-led strike on Iran appears inevitable. The window for negotiations has likely closed, with Trump boxed in by hardliners and his own rhetoric. A short, decisive conflict could salvage Trump's political fortune, but a protracted war risks catastrophic economic instability, global energy shocks, and a fractured NATO alliance. Europe's frustration with U.S. neglect, evident at the G7 summit, highlights fear of a Middle East quagmire, diverting American focus from Ukraine. As Russia advances in the Donbass and China expands its influence, the world edged closer to a multipolar order defined by chaos. That's all for me for today. Stay ahead of the curve on every critical development in the Ukraine-Russia conflict. Stay tuned for upcoming breaking news, deep analysis, and essential update you won't find anywhere else. Don't get left in the dark. Hit subscribe now and smash that notification bell to be the first to know when major events unfold. Essential viewing is just one click away. Have a wonderful day.